Nick is a famous film screenwriter. His wife is an actress 18 years younger than him. My wife and I are all paired up with some handsome young men. In order to prevent yourself from being green, Nick is online, rented a villa in a remote area. The next day, I moved there with my wife and daughter. At first, the couple are very satisfied with the decoration design of the house, but Nick suddenly heard a strange sound, but the wife didn't hear anything. This is the first foreshadowing of the film. At night, Nick came downstairs to turn off the lights and go to sleep. The time on this clock is 10:34. Wife is waiting for Nick to come back in bed double row, and the daughter here, playing hand shadow game alone in bed. At this moment, a black shadow suddenly appeared on the wall. The girl was shocked. Fortunately, my father arrived in time. Daughter tells Nick, "I saw a strange shadow," but Nick didn't take it to heart. After my father leaves, the black shadow flashed again. Nick went through the houses one by one and turned off the lights, but when he returns to the room, but found that my wife was already asleep. However, he didn't notice. It took him a while to go downstairs and turn off the lights. Nearly 5 hours have passed. Early the next morning, the wife and daughter went for a walk in the forest. The daughter suddenly asked about her mother. "Why do the neighbors hate Dad?" I didn't hide it either. It turns out that Nick was once married, but his ex-wife drowned in the bathtub. Although the medical examiner determined that the death of his ex-wife was accidental, but the neighbors all thought he died at the hands of Nick, and Nick also suffered a huge blow. Even when writing his script, I feel restless, uninterested in creating. He decided to go to the store, but the store owner's words shocked him. It turns out that before Nick moved in, the male owner of the villa mysteriously disappeared in the house. Before leaving, the boss gave Nick a ruler. In fact, the owner of the store knows all the secrets of the villa. Only, Nick has not yet discovered anything unusual in the villa. Naturally, I didn't take the boss's words to heart. Nick suddenly woke up from his dream late at night, unable to sleep. He came to his study to write a script, but when he opens the notebook, I found that there was an extra paragraph above. The strange thing is that he is exactly the same as me, and it means asking him to leave here quickly. But he clearly remembered that he had never written this passage. Suddenly there were footsteps behind me. He looked back, but there was nothing. Nick begins to doubt his own mental state, but there was another sound of closing the door behind you. He couldn't help but look back, but suddenly I discovered that there was an extra door on the bookshelf. After opening the door, there is actually a bottomless corridor inside. He mustered up the courage. Go check it out in the basement. He actually discovered a large number of secretly photographed photos. I also found my daughter in a room. By this time, my daughter had drowned. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Just treat everything as your own nightmare. He slapped himself wildly. Want to wake up? He even broke a wine bottle and inserted it directly into his own neck. Fortunately, everything is really just a dream. Afterwards, Nick took his wife to the study. Tell him that he dreamed there was a door here. Can be carefully inspected by two people, but no abnormality was found. Despite this, Nick still insists on moving out of the villa. The two had a big quarrel because of this. The wife drove away from here in anger, but he just left. Nick is in the notebook. I saw that passage in the nightmare. And one more sentence, it's too late to leave now. Then my daughter accidentally broke the cup. The strange thing is that the water on the ground is divided into two parts. When they learned that the inside of the house was 3 meters farther than the outside, my daughter feels a chill. Run back to the house in a hurry. He puts on clothes, then opened the door, entered a mysterious space. The girl keeps wandering in the corridor, and at the end of the corridor is a bathtub. Nick never saw his daughter come out, become anxious, but wait until he opens the room. But I only saw my daughter's clothes. He hurriedly searched around the villa, but he searched every corner, but still no clues found. At this time, the structure of the house actually changed. Opened the door from the second floor. We actually came to the living room on the first floor. The villa seems to have turned into a maze. The corridor actually grew dozens of meters longer out of thin air. Nick luckily came to the study, and the door in the nightmare. It actually appeared before my eyes. He thinks his daughter should be among them, but wait until he just walks in. The door behind you suddenly closed on its own, and the girl here is attracted by a mysterious old man. The girl was so frightened by the old man that she screamed and ran away. Nick outside the door also heard his daughter's voice. She immediately kicked open the door, but he returned to the living room on the first floor. There is also a seat on the ground that I just put down. Fortunately, she found her missing daughter on the stairs. My daughter was just frightened, not injured. He had to call the store owner, offered to borrow a car to get out of here, but the boss told Nick, "You can never leave here." A long time ago, this villa was originally a church used to house sinful souls. Anyone who has sinned, once you step into the villa, will be trapped in it forever. After hanging up the phone, Nick immediately took his daughter. Leave this horrible place, but they don't have a car, can only walk in the dark. I don't know how long they have been gone. Finally, I saw a bright light ahead, but wait until he gets closer and take a look. But was horrified to discover the villa appeared in front of me again. Because of too much fatigue, Nick decided to survive the night, find a way out tomorrow. However, just when the two of them lay down and prepared to rest, suddenly a white light flashed. He noticed that someone seemed to be filming them secretly. Then memories came to mind. The photo he saw in the basement. It turns out it was taken during this time period. He got up to check, want to find the person who took the photo, but wait until he just walks out of the door. The room behind him was locked. He entered the mysterious space again. A filled bathtub caught his eye, but the next second, a ghost. Then I strangled his neck fiercely from behind, then push him to the ground. Wait until Nick comes back to his senses and take a closer look. Discovered that the ghost turned out to be his ex-wife, but then the ghost suddenly disappeared. Nick stood up quickly. He ran upstairs in fear. You can wait until he opens the door and enters. I actually saw myself a few days ago. At that time, I was restless. Then he walked out of the room and went to the store. He hurriedly wrote in his notebook to leave as soon as possible. That text. This explains why it is your own self. He walked to the living room. Time and space change again. This time, it came to a time when they had just moved into the villa. And the strange sound I heard at that time. It's him who is asking for help now. At this time, the watch began to rotate at high speed. The stairs are also twisted. He climbed up hard, but then the white light flashed again, and he was still standing where he was just now. No matter how hard he tries, I still can't climb the stairs. But at this time, my daughter's life or death is still uncertain. How could he sit still and wait to die? After unremitting efforts, he successfully climbed upstairs. But here is another time and space. It's here. He saw the old man talking to his daughter. He threatened the old man to let his daughter go, but the old man told Nick, "This is all your own fault." Nick was so angry that he hit the old man with a stick. But as the old man took off his hat, Nick was stunned to the spot. The old man turned out to be Nick himself. The old man told Nick, "From the moment you step into the villa, I can't leave here anymore." Nick was so frightened that he collapsed on the ground. The old man told him again, "Now you should know what to do." The words just fell. A burst of white light flashed. The old man also disappeared. At this time, my daughter came down the stairs. Nick looked at his daughter with guilt on his face. Then he carried his daughter up the stairs. Time and space also returned to normal. At this time, my wife just came back after calming down. He revealed to his wife the real reason for his ex-wife's death, and he will never be able to get out of it. Finally, he carried his daughter into the car. I also said my final farewell to my wife. And this villa is once again listed for rent online.